strategy on the slides. And everybody knows my strategy. So why should I follow the strategy on the slides? Okay. Okay, let's look at this example, right? If you listen to me and you always check here, then whenever this happens, your opponent will know. Your opponent will say, oh, your opponent will know, oh, he can never have a 7. And your opponent, and like if you bet here, your opponent will be like, oh, I know he's not going to bluff you because that's what I said. And he's going to be like, so therefore he must have pocket 10s or pocket deuces or something really good. And your opponent will fold. So this is a problem, right? Okay, so if you didn't listen to me and you bluff this turn, so I told you not to bluff this turn with Jack 9 cards, right? I told you to check and fold with that. Let's say you didn't listen to me and you bluff this turn. So if you bluff this turn and your opponent knows that you're never bluffing this turn, then your bluff might work, right? So one thing is, all in all, you would be better off if you, like this exact situation won't come up that frequently, that you suffer that much from not being able to bluff this turn. So also, what I'm suggesting are basically fundamentally logical plays. They are theoretically logical. And so like they're somewhat balanced because in every situation I'm telling you to sometimes be bluffing and sometimes be betting with a good game to try and get a new call. So they're balanced. So they're sort of like, so I can't prove that this is exactly like a national game, but the idea is sort of, if your opponent knows that you're playing this strategy, their optimal response is still to play a similar strategy. So like their optimal response to you playing this strategy is basically play this strategy. So like the strategy is basically balanced, basically. So also there's some contradicting logic with this potential thought. So okay, let's suppose if you thought this. Okay, if you didn't listen to me and you check raise the flop with a 7, then when this turn comes, your opponent would never think you have a 7, which is really good for you, right? Because then you can bet, and they're going to call because they know, oh, you can't have a 7, you're going to call. But like, the point is, all of this potential thought of not listening to what's theoretically the right play being good is purely psychological because these two thoughts are contradicting, right? In the first case, you're saying if you don't listen to me, you benefit from him folding everything, right? Because he expects you to not bluff. But in the second case, you're saying you benefit from not listening to me because you expect him to call everything. Because when you have a 7, you expect him to call. Right? So this is contradictory because in the first case, you're claiming that you benefit by not listening to this because your opponent will fold too much. But now you're saying he's going to call when you have a turn. So like, what is it? Like, do you actually expect him to call this turn thinking that you can't have a 7? Or do you expect him to fold this turn thinking that you can't be bluffing? Like, so any deviation you try to do from the theoretically good strategy is only a psychological thing that would swing either way. Like, if you're expecting bluffing to work a lot because your opponent will fold a lot, you're assuming that your opponent will think that way, right? And same with this. If you're going to check raise a 7 on the flop in hopes of turning a 7 here and having him call you because he thinks you don't have a 7, it's again a psychological thing. You're assuming your opponent will react that way. So basically the point is both of these potential thoughts are not good because they're only psychological and they assume that your opponent thinks a certain way and they contradict each other. So like you have to be very sure that your opponent will actually think that way for it to make sense for you to deviate from what he said on the slides. But your chances of being correct are basically like 50% because you don't know whether he's going to think you're bluffing too much here or never bluffing here. So, okay, yeah, so this is basically one argument. Okay, and another question I ask is, along the same lines is, the rule is like the escaping rule, right? Remember I said the escaping rule, which was, if you put in 20% of your chips pre-flop, you should usually put in all your chips pre-flop. Well, if your opponent knows you're doing this, isn't this bad? Because then they know that whenever I put in 20% of my So, once again, these rules, it doesn't matter if your opponent knows that you're making these rules, because it's obvious that you follow these rules. Because these rules are, the point of these rules is so that you'll always make the play that's positive expectation. These rules basically tell you to always make the play that makes money. So the only thing your opponent knows, the only thing your opponent learns from knowing that you follow these rules is that you like to make money. But this is like obvious. So it's the escaping rule. The pre-flop raising rule is like, raise the 3 times the big blind if it's this, raise the 2.5 times, raise the 2 times. When you re-raise the 2.5 times the size of their raise. Like all these rules that I gave are empirically correct and theoretically backed up. And the point of these rules is to maximize your probabilities. And all you're revealing by following them is that you like money. So it's not like you're giving away your play. Okay. This is like the third way in which so you say, okay, if you listen to me and raise the hands that I tell you to raise from this position, which is this, right? So this was lecture 1. I said, if you're under the gun, you should raise something like these hands that I listed here. And so the point is, okay, if I follow this, if I listen to this, then my opponent knows which hands I do have. Isn't this bad? So this is, he will know exactly what hands you're going to have. He will know that you have pocket 8s plus or ace king or ace queen or whatever. But the point is, your range is still balanced. You still have both bluffs and value bets in your range. So this is a lot of theory, but basically the point is, your range is balanced as long as you have bad hands and good hands of every possible flop. So your bad hands are your bluffs, definition. Like you're betting to, right? The bluffs are the hands you're betting to try to get him to fold the better hand. And the betting for value means betting to try to get him to call a weaker hand, right? So we went through this last lecture. We said, what's the purpose of betting? Betting has 2 purposes, right? Every bet has one of 2 purposes. Otherwise, it's a pointless bet. You're trying to get them to fold a better hand, or you're trying to get them to call with the worse hand, right? Those are the only 2 reasons ever you bluff. If your opponent only calls you with the hand that beats you, then there's no point of bluffing, even if your hand is decent, right? This was like the fundamental theorem of poker that I explained last class, right? You never bet, even if you have a decent hand. You're like, oh, I have a pretty good hand. I have a pair of 10s on this board. But if your opponent's never calling you with the worst hand, you shouldn't bluff, right? Even if your chances of winning the hand are 80%, there's no point of bluffing if every time he calls you, he's going to got you beat, right? So the point is, it doesn't matter if he knows what range of hands you can call, because you have both bluffs and hands that you can bet for value in every time you flop. So right, if the flop comes 3 low cards, then you can still have pocket aces, which is a very good hand, and you can still have ace jack, which is a pretty bad hand. And the bad hands are the ones who bluff with, right? And the good hands are the ones who bet for value. So, yeah, I mean, if the flop comes 2-2-2, then fine, your opponent gains some information from knowing you can't possibly have a deuce, right? Because in this range, none of these hands include any cards from 7s and below, right? So if the flop comes 7-5-2, your opponent can say, oh, my opponent rarely has anything, because none of his hands contain 7s, 5s, or deuces. But that's fine, that doesn't matter, because you can have pocket aces. Like, if the flop comes 7-5 deuce, pocket aces is your good hand, and it's so good. So it doesn't really matter if they know that you can't have any cards in your hand 7 or below. Okay, so does anyone have any questions about some of the points I just talked about? Some of them I might have not explained myself so well, but I'm basically trying to convince you to listen to me. But no, that aside, I'm basically trying to convince you that I'm trying to explain like the psychology, like why it doesn't really work to not follow some of these rules and think that this is a good idea. I know most of you guys are are following all these rules. I'm not saying that you guys aren't listening, but I'm just explaining why. You don't like the logic of, oh, if I deviate from these rules and my opponent doesn't know what I'm doing, this is good for me. This logic Yeah.
What if you know your points deviate? Does it make sense for you to start deviating as well?
Right, okay, so I'm going to talk about that. Right? Okay. So if you remember what I said here, these are the hands you should raise with, right? But yeah, you can adjust to your opponents. So what I said here of the hands you should open with, this is basically an empirically tested range that, so the hands I tell you to open here is basically an empirically tested range that's neither too small nor too big, right? So let's suppose you raise a high percentage of hands. So this is about 6% of hands. Let's suppose you raise 20% of hands instead. What's going to happen to you? You're going to put in too much money with hands too weak, too frequently, right? And let's suppose, on the contrary, you raise a very, very small percent. Let's say you only play pocket aces. You didn't even play pocket kings. You only play pocket aces. Then what's going to happen? The blinds are going to eat you up, right? You're just going to raise so infrequently and get the blinds so infrequently that the blinds are going to eat you up. So the point is, you want to open a percentage that is neither too big or too small. If you open too big, then your opponents could then you're putting in too much money with bad cards. And if you raise too small, you're getting them with the blinds. But that being said, you can adjust to your opponents. So if your opponents are particularly tight, let's say your opponents, when you raise, they never fold. They just always fold. Like they fold a lot more than I suggest, let's say. Then you can open more than I suggest. So if your opponents are really tight, which means they fold too much, you can raise like pocket 2-0, let's say. Or like, let's say you can raise like ace-10 suited. You can raise a bit more. And the reason is because you'll win the blinds more frequently. So if your opponents are tight, the correct way to play is raise a bit more than I suggest, and be very careful to fold when they do call you. Like before, you won't be that afraid if they call you, but if your opponents are tight and they call you, then you need to be scared because their hand is better, right? So that's why I suggest opponents who are particularly tight and fold. You try to steal their blinds very frequently, and you don't put in a lot of money if they call, because when they call, they probably have a pretty good hand. So, on the other hand, if your opponents are particularly crazy, then I would still rarely open fewer hands than what I suggested. So, the reason is because the hands I listed here is already a fairly small range. If you ask a professional player, most people will raise more hands than what's here. The reason why I gave you a smaller number of hands is because when you're inexperienced, you suffer a lot from playing bad hands. But once you get more experience, you suffer less from playing bad hands. So yes, the way you adjust to opponents who are particularly crazy, like if someone has to leave and they're going all in, like every hand or something, or they're just trying to bluff every hand, trying to win every hand, you would basically fold a lot less. Like I wouldn't open fewer hands because all the hands I'm suggesting you open, like here, are pretty good hands, right? Like pocket eights, king, queen, suited. But you would just open them, you would just raise them and fold a lot less. Before maybe if you raise pocket eights from here and this guy re-raises you, you would fold. But if you know that he's crazy and this guy re-raises you, then you would just call with your pocket eights or like go all in with your pocket eights or whatever you think is good. So I mean, yeah, you can adjust to opponents who are particularly tight and particularly loose. Loose means crazy. So you can deviate from what I'm suggesting based on how your opponents are playing. But you got to be careful is that if you adjust and don't follow these rules, that means you're basically getting away from like a natural order. You're getting away from a balance in play, which means your opponents can potentially readjust and take advantage of you, right? Like let's say my opponents are tight and I do the first adjustment I set. I raise the blinds a lot and I fold as soon as someone re-raises me. Then my opponents can readjust by re-raising me with 7-2 offsuit, and I'm going to fold because I think they're really tight and I'm going to fold too much. So it's sort of like a mind game when you adjust and readjust and adjust and readjust. So basically, you should only be adjusting from the rule think you can win the mind game. Otherwise, you're best off just being safe. So, right, so it's like, if you're playing rock, paper, scissors against the world champion of rock, paper, scissors, okay, what would you do? You wouldn't try to adjust to beat them, right? You would try to play 33% rock, 33% scissors, 33% paper, right? So if I'm playing rock, paper, scissors against the world champion of rock, paper, scissors, I would just roll a die. And if I get a 1 or a 2, play rock. 3 or 4, play scissors. 5 or 6, play paper. I wouldn't try at all to try to adjust it. But like, if I'm playing rock, paper, scissors against a 5-year-old kid, I would probably try to look at his face, figure out what he's thinking, and try to beat him. Right? I wouldn't roll the die. Right? So it's the same principle here. So it's the same principle here. You can adjust a bit from the rules if you think you're winning the mind game. But you shouldn't always think you can win the mind game, because then you're just going to get destroyed. So, and also, you shouldn't adjust that much. You should never adjust that much from these rules. Because when you adjust so much, like, let's say I said raise 6% from here, and you claim that your opponents are so tight that you can raise 25% from here. Like, that's basically absurd, because it's going to be obvious that you raise that much, and they're going to readjust you. So adjusting a bit from the slides is fine, but make sure you understand the theory, and don't adjust that much is basically what I have to say. And make sure you can win the mind games if you're going to adjust. So remember the rock, paper, scissors. Remember the rock, paper, scissors example. So, right, and you can also make more advanced adjustments. So at higher levels, you can make more advanced reads to what you adjust based on your opponent. Like, you can say, oh, this opponent likes to check raise flush draws and play straight draws passively. Then, like, you can adjust to something like this, and there's more advanced adjustments. But the thing is, okay, another important thing another like general poker thing I wanted to get across is, no matter what, I don't care what Lady Gaga thinks, but like a good poker face is like that point. Like, so basically, a lot of people, so this is like a myth of poker basically. So a good poker face is extremely important, so this is false. So no one really actually possesses the ability to look at your eyes and tell what you're thinking. So this is like a marketing thing that professional poker players like myself, we try to convey. Like, I try to pretend that, oh, I can look into your eyes and tell what cards you have. But in honesty, I do not know how to do this. I wish I could do this, but I don't know how to do this. And no one can do this. Even the best player in the world cannot do this. Like, maybe some extreme beginners will give away their cards with the look on their face. But in general, anyone who has any idea what they're doing, they're not going to do this. So the point is, you should never be deviating from the rules that bad. So once again, I'm talking about deviating from the rules I gave in class. You should never deviate a ton from what I said in class just because someone twitched their eyes on the flop. So you should still play mathematically soundly. Another important takeaway from this is online poker is basically the same as real life poker. There's no such thing as being good at online poker but sucking at real life poker, or being good at real life poker and sucking at online poker. These two things are exactly the same. Some people think that in real life poker, oh, you have to keep a good face, you have to control yourself. It's basically, the differences are basically negligible. Poker at its heart is a mathematical game. You try to make mathematically sound plays, and it doesn't matter whether you're doing something space. Okay, another thing I wanted to address is luck in poker and dealing with frustration. So, it takes a much longer time than most people expect for your actual results to converge to your expected results. So, in a way, you can say there's a lot of luck in poker. So, poker has a bunch of properties like this where the most novice player still has some chance of beating the best player in the world. So that's one very important property of poker. And another property of poker is everyone overestimates their own skill at poker, like including myself. Everyone in the world thinks they're better at poker than they actually are, and I'm guilty of this. Everyone thinks this. So this is why there's so much gambling. This is why poker is such a gambling game, because everyone thinks they're good, right? So at a table of 9 players, all 9 of those players believe that they are making money by playing poker at that table. But clearly this cannot be the case because sum of their expectation is 0, right? The sum of their expectation is negative because the casino takes away some money, right? So it's contradictory. But if you ask those players, all of them are going to say, oh yeah, my expectation is positive $200 per hour. If you sum those, it's going to be like positive like 2,000 per hour. But like in reality, the sum has to be minus $100 per hour or whatever. So this is basically the reason why poker is such a game-like game, and there's so much gambling and money involved. So the point is, there's a lot of luck, and don't be frustrated if you get unlucky a lot. So I hope no one is frustrated and no one like throws the computer up. Yeah, there's basically a lot of luck, and this is why I say it's important to learn how to play lots of tables at once on PokerStars. Because, right, so this is like the law of large numbers. If you play more tables, you can merge faster and you want the expected results. Okay, so another thing, important thing to take away from this class in general and poker in general is just the idea of decisions versus results. So probably most people at MIT is very good at inductive learning, which is learning from your results. Like, I ate this type of mushroom and I got poisoned, so I won't eat it again. So this is basically inductive learning, right? It's learning from your results. You learn from your mistakes. You do something and you make mistakes. You make a mistake and you don't do it again. But this type of logic does not really work in poker. Like, you can't say, like, I called here and last time I did this, I won the pot by the river, so I'm going to do it again, right? Like, this is what a lot of the stupidity of poker comes from. People have a lucky hand because they played this lucky hand 3 times, and every time they got lucky with it, they think, oh, look at the result. I'm learning from my results, right? I did this 3 times, and the results were good every time, so I'm going to continue to do this. So that's why poker is a difficult game to learn, because you cannot learn from your results. So this is why poker is the total knowledge required to become good at poker is honestly not that high. The total amount of knowledge you need to be a very successful professional player is actually very low. But the thing is, acquiring this knowledge is hard for the reasons I just said. Because you can't learn from your results. You can't be like, because I made a lot of money in this tournament, therefore I made every decision correctly in this tournament. So that's one big factor is you can't learn from your results. Second big factor is too many people get frustrated way too easily. And everyone underestimates how much luck there is. So I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of luck, and it's very easy to get unlucky. And I hope no one is frustrated. That's why, even if you don't get 10 points in the class, if you write a report explaining to me why you got unlucky, I'm going to pass you, because I understand that it's possible to just get unlucky every single time. And another reason why learning poker is hard is because a lot of information is wrong because of this fact. Everyone overestimates their own skill in poker. So I hope you don't think what I'm telling you is wrong. I mean, there's a small chance that it will be wrong, but I want to talk about, so are there any other general questions about, general facts about poker? So next class, there's going to be no more of this. It's going to be all hands. Next class, I'm going to give lots of examples, all pre-flop play, talk about pre-flop equities, when to go all in, which hands are better to go all in with than other hands, which hands to call and re-steal, like if someone raises, re-raise all in as a bluff. Lots of examples. So next time is going to be all poker, but I want to get this done with today. Are there any other general questions along the lines of like decision versus results?
Can you say a little bit about the opening range that there were